Okay, like I was saying, I've cleaned up my isometric to show as little detail as I think I need to be showing. I'm still showing all the details I'd like to show without showing too much and having too many lines. Okay, so I've got myself a nice multi-view drawing here. I can always change the spacing. If I wanted to reblock this isometric, that would be fine. I could do so. So at this point, I could add in center lines. So if I wanted to, if I had my center lines layer set up, I could just add in a center line for the bore of this cylindrical hole for each of these views. I could add a center mark or anything like that. So I guess I can go ahead and do that. So I'll add a line from the midpoint let's see, I actually don't have my do not have my layers open. I forgot to open my template. I'll just quickly add a new one for center line. So since I'm back in a two-dimensional drawing, I can actually, since I don't like to use my 3D modeling workspace for two-dimensional drawing, I'm just going to go ahead and jump back into AutoCAD Classic. So I'll change that to be a center line. I could copy this up to whittle out from the midpoint there. And then if I wanted to add a oh, that's right. Okay, so I got to keep in mind that the midpoint looks like I made the same mistake over here. So the midpoint was actually considering the distance from here to here and not the entire line. So what I'll need to do is I will explode this, and if I were to join these two lines, then that would allow me to move my center line up to the actual midpoint. So since I know I'm halfway through this block, and the block is 6 inches tall, that's 3, and then I've got 2 between, so that's 5, and then another, the block is 8 inches this way, so that's another 4, so I need to move it up 9. So that puts me dead center up there. Okay, I could continue putting in center marks and everything else, and my dimensions, everything else to tidy up my multi-view drawing and get it ready to print, but for the sake of time, I'm going to go out on a limb and say you guys know how to do that. I will just quickly touch on, here are my tangential edges, which were shown. That's what I told the Flatshot command that I wanted to show. I've got example drawing here. I created these ahead of time. So these two drawings here are what the Flatshot looks like with tangential edges, and here are two without. So I think that for this drawing in particular, with that filleted edge, tangential edges are going to show me a little bit more detail. This one, I've sort of, from this view of the multi-view, I'm not really aware that there's anything there. But it's going to change depending on what you're drawing and just how you end up wanting your multi-view to end up looking. So, okay, so for the sake of time, we'll say that my multi-view is done. So I can go into my Layout tab, and since everything I put in all the flat shots were at a 1-to-1 scale, that means that I can just have one viewport and I can scale everything just how I would with a normal two-dimensional object. So then I would go ahead and just enter my title block, and I would be all ready to print. I'd probably set my viewport on a no plot layer, add my title block, make sure I have an appropriate scale, make sure my annotation scale for the dimensioning is correct. Other than that, that would be a completed multi-view drawing. So just to summarize, I went from a three-dimensional block, rather than superimposing multi-views in each of the different coordinate planes around where my block is located. I simply sort of flattened them into two-dimensional blocks, which I put together, all ended up in one two-dimensional plane. So these are all in the same plane. And you'll see in class with the SOLVIEW and SOLDRAW commands, each of those flattened views will end up pressed up against the side of your three-dimensional object. So this is probably a slightly longer way of doing it, but is a little bit easier to think about and clean up and sort of customize your multi-view. So if there are any questions, of course I'll always be around the STEM Center, and if enough people need to see another example of a SOLVIEW and SOLDRAW command, I can make another video after class tomorrow.